the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
SPTV up in the hizzy, y'all.
Guys.
How's that for an intro? Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me. We got Relatable Reese. We got Serge Del Mar. We got Oh No Nora. We got a full house this evening.
Whoop.
It's the second Jenna-palooza.
Usually I'd have all the YouTube channels pulled up and share and show everyone what the channels look like. But at this point, Oh No Nora is where you find Nora's channel. Serge Del Mar is where you find Serge's channel. Relatable Reese is where you find Reese's channel. And actually, I thought I had already gone in and actually put the links to the channels in the description down below for anyone who just wants a simple clickety click. Let me just, yep, they're there. All your guys' channels are linked in the description down below for anyone who just wants to go click. Go on down to the description and just clickety click. Also, we're going to be talking about some fun BSing around about the crazy stuff that we as kids being raised in Scientology were told about random stuff. And any of you other second gens out there who want to join this chat, because this is going to be a phone, just text me. I do have my texts up. Laura, if you're out there, I have my texts up this time. Okay. And, but so let's start off by telling Serge and Nora what we were talking about earlier this week. Okay. Because Reese said that she told her dad, now this is her dad who disconnected from her even when they were both still in Scientology. Like, this guy's wackadoodle. Okay. When Reese was little, she said she was afraid of the ocean. And he was like, well, that's because you spent a few million years floating around in the ocean in an ice cube when you were brought to Earth. Okay.
I was dumped here. I was dumped here in ice.
Right.
And she's like, Aaron, were you told about the ice cubes? I was like, no one ever said that to me when I was a kid. But we spent a lot of time talking about the crazy kind of shit we were told as a kid. So we got to start out. We got to know, Serge, Nora, were you guys told about the ice cubes?
Definitely. I mean, it was history of man. Literally, like,
we have a winner.
They showed the book with the man eating the thing, and they would talk to us as if, we were supposed to really keep track of what the hell they were talking about.
Oh, thank God. I'm not alone. We were both in ice, Serge. Thank God. Aaron tried to make me feel crazy. That he was gaslighting me. He was like, I never heard this before. And I said, is it a Midwest thing? The Midwesterners were dumped in ice. Okay. Cause I don't know where you're from, Serge, but I'm glad that you were with me out there floating around.
I remember hearing that story on a road trip. We were on a road trip and they started talking about the ocean and the oysters and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So Serge, what is the version that you remember hearing about the ice cubes?
Well, for me, it was more about oysters. Something we were oysters. I kid you not. It was oysters in the sea. Something about that's how we were originally trapped here.
Hold on. It sounds like you're putting some distance between yourself and the ice cube story now.
Well, I mean, I remember we
morphed into that. That's right. It was not like
so here's what's
Mermaid. It wasn't a happy thing.
So here's what's interesting. If I personally do not remember the ice cube thing in the history of man, and if I'm hoping one of you guys can refresh my memory as to what it says in that book. But here's the thing. Here's where Reese was, because I asked Reese, I was like, okay, so when your dad told you that you spent a few million years floating around in an ice cube in the ocean, was that just as a spirit, just as a thetan, or did you think as a kid that you, like, as a body were floating around the ocean in an ice cube? And she couldn't quite recall. Now, I'm not sure which one of those is less believable, but can anyone refresh my memory what History of Man said about the ice cubes? I don't remember anything about it.
I don't think History Man directly says about the ice cubes. I think it's more about what Serge was talking about. Oh, he's over here. I'm always pointing to where I see him on my screen and not where he is on the YouTube. So it's more about what Serge said about the clams, because that's what History Man says. And I think what Reese's dad was actually talking about is more OT stuff. So the ice cubes is the Xenu story, because we were transported here in the ice cubes and then dumped in the volcanoes. That's what Xenu did. So your daddy was actually telling you, because this is what my dad would do, is my dad was an auditor. And so he would just like hold up like weird shit that was like old, because my grandma, his mom, had like just tons of old shit. So he would hold up like old stuff. Like this obviously isn't old, but he'd be like, "Do you see this transistor radio? Like, what does like," and he would like pull out the e-meter and we would play with it. And then he would be like, "Why don't you hold these and then tell me what this transistor radio, look at this. And what's that? What are you thinking about right now when you see this? Do you get a picture of a house or a time or a place or a person?" And like just like fucking run whole track bullshit on me, like trying to get me to recall past lives and weird shit. So when your dad was telling you about the ice cubes, he was trying to jar your memory of Xenu bullshit, because as we all know, the four of us here, guys, we're in the We Come Back gang, because we purposely chose those two assholes to be our parents. We were just floating around in the ether and we were like, "Oh, hey, we got to find some Scientologists.
It's a
Where's
conscious
the
choice.
smokiest? Where's the smokiest fucking, delivery room I can possibly zoom in on? Hang on, let me find a smoky ass fucking delivery room. There they are. Let me clear the clouds of smoke and find, oh, there's some two intentional beings. They're clearing the planet. Let me get in there. Let me swim through the clouds of smoke, and boom, I want those two guys." Like,
And Aaron, here's ChatGPT. Yes, The History of Man is a Scientology book written by L. Ron Hubbard. In the book, Hubbard presents his theory of the origins of human beings, which includes the idea that humans have experienced a series of past lives in various forms, including as simple organisms such as oysters. However, it's important to note that these beliefs are specific to Scientology and are not accepted or supported by mainstream scientific understanding of human evolution.
In case there was any question about that.
Bingo.
So no, I definitely remember the oysters and the clam, or the clams specifically.
Yeah.
He said various bivalve hinged sea creatures. I do remember that. I just don't remember the damn ice cubes. But then there was another thing that she mentioned, and also because anyway, one thing else that she was told by her OT father, and he was OT, right?
No,
He wasn't even OT. Oh my God.
I think he's
So he
still on the
couldn't
Key to
talk?
Life course from 1971.
That's the thing, Serge. He wasn't coming up with this from the OT level stuff. She also told,
everybody knows the secrets, though.
Good
That's
old
the
History of
problem.
Man, though. Good old History of Man was a book that was all for the public. So he could have literally just gotten that concept from there.
Or maybe an
Sure.
OT passed it down to him.
I think so. But
Yeah.
all of our parents did the same bullshit. But carry on. Go ahead,
Well,
Aaron.
okay,
What were you
but
saying?
the other thing that she was told is that the dinosaurs died because they were instantly flash frozen, because some Thetan pulled the atmosphere off of Earth and flash froze everything, and that's how the dinosaurs died.
Pulled the cover off.
I actually do remember hearing something about that, Reese. I told you I didn't,
do.
because people were
Yes.
talking. I remember hearing of the Explorers Club discovered some woolly mammoths that were frozen so quickly that the food in
Right.
his stomach was still only partially digested. And then Scientologists would say, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, that's because the atmosphere was yanked
Mhm.
off." I just don't remember
Mhm.
whether that's something L. Ron Hubbard said or whether that's something a lot of Scientology parents told their kids. Did you ever get told any weird stuff about how the dinosaurs died?
I didn't, not that, but I do recall that same story though, Aaron, about that. Because here's the other thing. If you're now, Reese, your parents got in the 70s and stuff, like 60s, 70s type situation.
Yep.
So everybody who got in the 60s, 70s, like all of our parents, they were all doing the same thing, which was they were absorbing the early lectures, which is like the Phoenix lectures and all these things on like reel to reel, because the courses that were available, like if they were your parents on staff also, like somewhere?
Mainly public, but in the Sea Org for a short time.
Okay. So regardless, like most people were, even if they weren't doing general courses, they were all trying to like listen to these lectures that were available in the libraries, reel to reel. And all of the lectures were like available, like the crazy doodle stuff that's in just the books now, the blue volumes, the R&D series and stuff.
Mhm.
And in the R&D series is where a lot of what became the OT levels is in there. So if you've ever done like a deep dive into the R&D series, there is so much wackadoodle stuff in there. Like there was a thing that we in there once. There's a concept where a thetan can exist at two times, not at two times, at a singular time in two different bodies at the same time that L. Ron Hubbard did a whole lecture on, right? So this is why, and he explains, like, if you ever meet somebody that, like, somebody will say to you, oh, you should know so and so because you guys would get along and you guys are so alike and blah blah blah, and you finally meet this person and you just like fucking hate each other, like you're just like you rebuff each other in this like really weird way, and your friends, your mutual friends, are like, I don't understand, like you guys are so alike, like you guys should just like be like peanut butter and jelly, and both of you are just like, it's because, in L. Ron Hubbard's thinking, you are actually the same thetan in two different bodies, and it's like the same like the same north facing magnet that just like pushes away from each other.
That
And this
makes
is
all
why
kinds
you
of
cannot,
sense.
right? Like,
Of course. Didn't
so
he say
you
that about
reject,
identical twins,
right?
Aaron?
And which doesn't make any sense. They are like psychically connected and they love each other.
Yeah. I
I
thought
don't
he said that
understand that.
about twins, that like sometimes that thetan's running both bodies.
I've never
What?
heard that. I've never heard it mentioned one thing in operating two bodies, except for a concept, and you guys maybe explain it to me because I never understood what he was talking about. The phrase bodies in pawn or operating doll
Yes.
bodies. I never quite understood what the Xenu he was talking about. And because it was something he would mention in random lectures, but it really had
Mhm.
nothing to do with anything we needed to know. So I never Serge, in all of your deep dives, did you ever understand what bodies in pawn was?
No, I mean, literally, there's nothing to understand about the rhetoric of this criminal indicted felon.
Well, there's
Like,
something to understand what he was even trying to say. Did you
he was
ever
trying to scam
understand what he was
everyone.
trying to
I mean,
say?
to me, it's just, again, it's part of this narcissistic disorder that people developed, right? The more secrets we share, the more crazy we come, deranged we become. As long as we all agree with it, then we're special. Like, that's all this is to me, at least.
That's
Like,
right. But I was never special enough to agree or understand with what the hell he was talking about there. Were you special enough? Because I wasn't.
I mean, I was, because I'm sure I completed a course and I signed the check sheet that said I get it. I mean, again, it's like I remember just signing off all these things that I didn't understand what in the hell they were talking about, but I would just sign it. I'm like, I don't get it, but whatever. And I would
All right,
fall.
look, for all the former Scientologists in the chat, if anyone
I
ever
was the
thinks they
opposite.
actually understood what bodies of pawn meant, please let me know in the
So
chat.
my idea of that was like, if honestly, like what I thought of that is like, like a pawn shop, like you were putting them out there, like, like you go to a pawn shop and you put the things because you don't have the money, and you're putting the bodies on layaway until you can pay
I
for
was
them
just gonna
Yikes.
later.
say, I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
are you
no,
putting it
listen,
on
but
layaway?
I was a teen and like in my young 20s, and like, like I was a word clearer, so I was trying to come up with a visual of like how it may I'm a visual learner. This is something they use in corporate speak, right? Like, are you a visual learner? Are you like like what kind of learner are you? I'm like a visual learner. Like I try to, not to use too many Scientology words, like talking about Scientology all the time, like all these things are like, invading my brain again. I'm like, I'm mocking all these things up, like trying to, um, things. But that's like how I pictured it, is like it was bodies and pawn, but also it was like, I think the example that he gives for that is like, um, uh, only things that are coming to my mind are derogatory terms for these people. But
I can hear Eddie
and
Murphy doing his his 1980s comedy routine, but like, your
right, like
mama's
I'm
so
thinking
poor, she had to put your body on layaway.
basically, yes, you can't afford it. Yeah, but it's like
Your
I
mom's on
feel like
welfare. You
I
can't afford. I got my ice cream.
I think a little bit like that. But it was, I think the example that he used was for prostitution, you know, like on the,
What?
because he was talking
Who
about like
used it? Who?
L. Ron Hubbard, like because it all goes back to sex. It all goes back because the man was obsessed with sex. Nothing.
What?
Name one
Are we
thing in
still talking about
Scientology that
bodies in
doesn't
pawn? Or are you
circle
talking
back
about?
to
I just don't know what
sex.
you're talking about. What, are you talking about bodies in pawn or
Yes,
something
I'm
else?
talking about throw a dart at something in Scientology that doesn't go back to sex.
Misunderstood
Tell me
words.
something. Always. It's a crime because you can't have a misunderstood word without a prior confusion. And you can't have a confusion, my friend, without having a crime. And all crimes are somehow related to sex.
Okay.
Gross.
Well, your mom's so poor she had to put your body on layaway.
Aaron.
Aaron, you know my mom. She's coming for you. Don't start.
Okay. So how about this, guys? Okay, Serge and Nora. Since Reese and I spent a bunch of time talking about this, growing up as little Scientology bean sprouts, were you taught that evolution, like Darwinian evolution, natural selection, the evolution of the human body, was like real? That we as Scientology kids, that's something we believe. We believe in evolution, or were you told something different?
Serge, you go first. What were you taught?
I mean, I honestly remember, especially like my father would go into these like long rants about the universe and the theta and the mess and all this stuff. And I just pretty much disassociated. I just, honestly, there was nothing I could keep track of. I just found them so weird. And, you know, I always thought that I was the stupid one. I was like, oh, well, maybe when I grow up, I'm going to understand what in the hell they're trying to talk about, because nothing made sense whatsoever.
Huh.
And it was more like they wanted to listen to themselves, going back to the narcissism. It's just spouting BS, whatever's theories that they feel that they understood something, because there was nothing to understand about L. Ron Hubbard's BS.
Well, okay, Nora, did you think, were you told as a little, bean sprout Scientologist that evolution, that's okay, we're down with evolution, that doesn't conflict with what we believe in Scientology?
Pretty much. I mean, I think I was also told that not all of evolution was like correct, because in my house, like I went to a few Scientology schools early on, and then I'll be honest, like my parents couldn't afford it because we was poor as shit. My dad got into too many fucking get rich quick schemes because he had PTSD from
That's
the
why they had to
fucking
put your
Vietnam
body
War.
on layaway.
Hey, put my body on layaway. And honestly, and then he got in a car wreck when I was 7 and then had like brain damage. So, and then my parents got divorced and my mom was like deuces. And then he didn't pay no child support because he was a deadbeat daddy. And then he went and did Scientology full time instead of paying that child support. And my mom married my stepdad, and he was like, I ain't down with that. And I went to public school. So like I was learning, I was like the Scientology celebrities, right? Like I was in public school with regular people being like, I'm a Scientologist. And they're like, you're weird. And I was like, okay. And then I was like learning this sciencey stuff going like, well, that's not what I'm told, but all right, I'll just do the report, thinking like two different things. And I think it's kind of the same as like fundamental Christians that are like, Jesus rode a dinosaur, like, I don't know, so yeah. And
It's
like I
funny,
said, I was like,
even
I was
non-religious
Miley
people.
Cyrusing my way through life. I was clear at 13. I walked around my fucking high school with my clear bracelet. They're like, do you have a medic alert bracelet? I was like, no, honey, I'm clear. And they're like, that's no.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just mentioned the medic alert bracelet. When I was a little Scientology bean sprout on Key to Life at Flag, and I forget who was auditing me on the clay table auditing CT1 and CT2. It might have, I can't remember if it was. Do you guys remember Scott Bruce from Flag? I know, Serge, you might. Do you remember Scott Bruce, the Australian redhead kid?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it might have been him. We were on a key to life walk, and we saw a homeless person wearing what we thought was a clear bracelet. And we thought this person had stolen a clear bracelet from a Scientology organ. We followed his ass for like 2 hours. We were due back in course in like 15 minutes. We're like, they're gonna announce us at like a flag, crew muster for like finding this guy who stole this clear bracelet. We followed his ass for like 2 hours, and
my God, Aaron.
it was just one of those medic alert bracelets.
Oh my
Then
God.
imagine, Aaron, you just said clay table key to life. That you guys, so for you that don't understand what a clay table key to life is these people would have you clay demo what problem have you had with someone and demonstrate those problems in clay. And you had to do that for like 12 hours straight, nonstop, like, just another problem, and then you would do the whole thing and then, okay, start again and then start again. And they wanted you to cognite that you were out of valence, which means that you were not being yourself, you were being someone else. So somehow these clay demonstrations for hours ad nauseum were supposed to make you understand that you were not being yourself. And if you didn't say that, you could be there. I mean, there were people that were on that for like 6, 7, 8 months nonstop.
I did it for 5 weeks full time. 5 weeks full time,
Wow.
40 hours, more than 40 hours a week, all day, 7 days a week, 10 hours a day for 5 weeks.
Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
Aaron, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. That was
But
the least of my problems.
Great thing to do if you have kids at home. Just give them some Play-Doh and that's. I'm just joking. I'm
Yeah.
joking. I'm joking.
Okay, so that's pretty funny actually. Okay, so evolution didn't seem to be a big deal growing up, really. The ice cubes, I guess, were particularly significant for Reese's childhood. Her dad is telling her it's why she was afraid to go in the ocean water. It wasn't Jaws.
So
It
sorry, Reese.
wasn't monsters from the deep. It was stimulation of floating in an ice cube for millions of years.
But that's like
I thought we all were.
You still not go in the ocean?
Oh, I'm pretty scared of the ocean. Yeah.
I mean,
Like I won't
my
take a
mom
cruise.
saw- yeah, you'll take a cruise, but you're not going to put your feetsies in there.
No. I'm not going to take a cruise. No, I'm not going to hit all those
Jaws
beings
came out
floating
in
around.
1975, right? And that scared the bejesus out of our parents. Let's be honest. I mean, my mom told me she was driving home with my dad from that movie, and they were looking in the fucking back seat for that thing. She wouldn't sit on a toilet for like 6 months because they thought
felt that
Jaws
way.
was going to come out of the fucking toilet to get him.
Mhm.
I mean, their whole generation was scared of that goddamn animatronic shark. That's just that. My mom still hasn't. That movie came out in 1975. My mom has still not gone in the ocean. That's 48 years later. She still hasn't gone in the ocean.
Oh my
So
God.
I don't blame you, Reese, for not going in the ocean after that ice cube strike. But see, like our parents would do stuff like this remember back in the 80s when the 3D movies were big. We had the big movies. There was Jaws in 3D. Okay. And then there was that helicopter movie. I'm trying to remember what it was called. So my dad, the winner, he was supposed to take me to the Scientology school that I was going to at the time. It was called Apple School. And we were living in San Bruno, and he had to drive me across the Golden Gate Bridge into Mill Valley to take me to the school. And my mom went to work, and that was his job for the day, to drive me to the school, and I was going to take the bus home. So I slept in. He slept in. He was like, hey, I guess we're not going to school today, because by the time he drove me there, he'd have to come back and get me. It was the whole thing. So instead, we went to a double feature. Both of those 3D films, I was 6. And then we went to see, as my dad used to say, A Man About a Horse, which meant that we were going to the racetrack, which he bribed me to keep quiet about with a bag of Reese's Pieces. And that was fun. I got to pick a few horses at the track. So fun. So like Halloween time comes, and we're watching the Bela Lugosi version of the vampire movie. What's that called? Dracula. And my dad tells me, remember when we saw those 3D movies? This movie is in 4D. It's not in 3D, it's in 4D. I was like, what's that? Well, that means that if you blink or look away from the screen for one moment, Bela Lugosi will come out of the television and bite you on the neck. Okay, I sat there with a pillow around my neck, and then I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I couldn't hold it anymore. He goes, if you leave, Bela Lugosi's going to come get you. And I couldn't wait anymore. My mother's like, Constantine, let her go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. And we had these remember those childproof plastic things that people would put over doorknobs because you didn't want your kid to get into them. So we had those everywhere because my sister was just getting into everything. She was at the time like 3 or 4. So I go into the hallway, and right at this moment, we have a power outage. Okay.
Oh man.
I am screaming bloody murder. I cannot get this door open. My dad is hysterical. He thinks this is the funniest thing that has ever happened in his entire life. Meanwhile, now he gets me back. The power comes back on. I peed all over him. He still thought it was hilarious. But these are the things that he thought was hilarious. And then later on, he tried to put me in a session to talk to me about it.
Wow.
To like audit it out, and on top of that, bull bait me about it. Do both.
These people shouldn't have been parents. They shouldn't have had kids.
No, because the bull baiting is the best part. Like, there's the sit, because they were from the 70s. The no blinking in the TR0.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever do that with your parents, guys? The no blinking TR0 where you just had to sit?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I
that.
did.
And your eyes are just, I can't even do it now. No blink.
All right. So next question here. The other thing Reese and I discussed was, oh my God, it was a Sea Org Reg or a Sea Org recruiter. I'm a little confused on this, Reese, so just correct me if I get this wrong. Who Reese had just had a baby, and the baby's like 2 months old or whatever, and she brings the baby into the org for an event, and the Sea Org Reg is like, oh yeah, I recognize him. I recognize him. I recognize the energy. He was what did he say, Reese?
I wonder if you guys knew him. Ted Bragan. He was a big IAS reg. He came in and I was holding it just like this. And he winked and said, oh, I recognize him. He said, yeah, he used to be with me in the Sea Org. Yeah. He was like, I remember him. And as you guys know, that's a big no-no to do. I mean, it's okay to evaluate. You just can't have to do it behind people's backs. You can't do it in front of them. Yeah. That happened to me. It was real weird.
Now, Serge, because you joined the Sea Org so young, your family, I know your dad, I think in particular was pushing you to join the Sea Org. Did they run this past life stuff on you? Like, was that part of the reason they were sending you off to the Sea Org to fulfill your past life commitment, or like what was that a big thing for you in your younger years?
That was more like gay crisis management for them.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well,
What's
because
that?
my parents knew, well, number one, they didn't want to pay for me, right? Because they moved to Florida. They didn't have papers when they first moved to Florida. They were struggling financially. And they had already 2 other daughters that were younger than me that they really couldn't get away with not having in school. And since they could sort of get away with putting me in at flag and they had money on account, they ended up putting that money towards my education. So that's how it became my replacement school. And I mean, they paid for $40,000 for me to become an auditor at age 12. And I always felt like, okay, my parents liked me because they wouldn't have paid $40,000 for me to become this. So it almost felt like, oh, well, they did pay for my college because I did become a certified graduate auditor. But they were, for them, it was more about, the money that they could save by me being, in that hotel. And also just because I knew that if I was there, then my gayness could never fully become something. Because, I mean, again, when your teenage years start coming, you start showing more of those signs. So then that was definitely something they were very worried about.
Okay, so they didn't That's right. I mean, you've mentioned that to me before, that was one of the big things. Your dad was pushing you to get into the Sea Org, thinking he could never be gay in the Sea Org. They'll ungay him in no time. So, but they didn't push that past life stuff on you, like, or was that also present?
I mean, there was always talk about past lives. You know, there was always a lot, and they would talk about how, oh, we can't talk to you about past lives because you have to find out for yourself. So they were very much about that, but there was always, oh, I just found out this thing. I can't tell you who I was, but I just found out about it in my session. So again, I was always looking at like, what in the literal hell? And again, I just always thought like I was the idiot. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's intellectual abuse of minors at scale is what it is. Like Reese said, these people should have never been parents. And again, never mind. Maybe, you know, L. Ron Hubbard is the one that made them like this. Like maybe they would have been fine. They would have been given those stupid ideas, but those stupid ideas really made them go crazy.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So Nora, you said that you were 13 when you attested to clear or whatever. So that's because you attested to past life clear. So how does that all come about? How was your parents kind of pushing that on you, or how did that happen?
No, my mom and I were doing, we were twinning, as you do during your summer break, on the student hack course at the San Francisco org. And they asked me if I wanted to get some free auditing from a student. So I was getting some free objectives in the HTC from, you know, an intern. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I was nowhere on the bridge at the time. I had done my M1, which I also twinned with my mom. Now, ironically, my mom was clear already. And so when we twinned, she could audit me, but I had to audit somebody else on the M1 co-audit. So we had finished that course because she audited me to completion. And then I audited like another student in the course room. So we were now on student hat, and I was getting these objectives, and everything was going, you know, fine. The objectives, I went exterior for the first time, and that was very exciting for me. And then this is how the whole thing went down. So I was in the course room after a really fun session, and I was just like going through books and looking at things and like thumbing through some basic books. And I went through to the back of the book, and I was just like looking at stuff. And all of a sudden I saw like a page in the book that said, "You are clear." And I was like, yes, absolutely. And then I just like kept going. And then I was like, what? And then I went back and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like trying to find that thing again. And then I was like, wait, what book was that in? And I was going through all the books, and I was like, oh my God, I'm clear. Like that wasn't like what? And so then I went to my course supervisor and I just started saying all this stuff. And he was like, you need to go to the examiner right away. And so I went to the examiner and I started saying all this word salad. And then they were like, writing and things, and like apparently my TA was floating and they were freaking out. And then there was like this big meeting, and I thought I was in trouble because I had said all this word salad. And then they were like, okay, you have to go to AOLA right now. And I was like, what? And so I thought I was in trouble. So my mom is like, son of a bitch, because she knew this was going to cost a lot of money. And so they were like, no, she has to go right this minute. Like literally you have to get on a plane and go. And my mom's like, well, I'm not flying. Like we are not rich. So we just got in the car and we drove. And then of course AOLA was like, oh yeah, we got to get her in session right now. A week later, they finally had an auditor for me, who was Phil Christodoulou. And he took me in session, and it was very weird, and a bunch of stuff happened. And then they were trying to get me to recall my name and all these things. And I was like, I don't know. And then apparently they found some stuff and verified some things. And then Bob's your uncle, they declared me clear. I said all the right things, you know, and they declared me clear. And I'll never forget when I got announced. They were like, "We're announcing our newest clear, blah 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 blah," and they announced my name. And I was standing in the lobby of AO, and there was this really tall guy, because like I was barely 5 feet tall at the time. I had not hit puberty yet. I just looked like maybe 10 years old, 11, but I was like 13, 14 at the time. And everyone's looking at this really tall, like 6-foot man, like as if he's the guy, and he's smiling. He was getting announced for something else or something. And then they announced my name, and he's looking around like, oh no, it's not me. And then I'm just standing there like, I'm the clear. And everyone was like, what? Because at the time, I think there was like maybe one other kid who had been announced as like a last lifetime clear. So it was like a really big deal. So then I became like the ultimate recruitment prize. And then I did the Sunshine Rundown, which is confidential. That was fun. You get to do that by yourself. It's kind of dumb. What freaked me out the other day, though, because the Sunshine Rundown is essentially a locational you do on yourself, where you just go around and look at shit that's close to you and far away and things. A therapist on TikTok was like, here's a technique to get your anxiety to be better. Get like a highlighter or an object, and you hold it in front of you, and then you focus on the object and then focus on something far away. And I was like, bitch, that's the Sunshine Rundown. I can't do that. Like, I was like, that's just weird. Like, that was the first thought that came to my mind. Like, I was like, that's supposed to lower my anxiety, because literally it's the same technique as on the Sunshine Rundown. And I thought, that's crazy. But yeah, I reached that level of the bridge at an early age, and I literally would walk around. And then it got questioned when I was on the RPF, because that folder got lost. And they were like, But yeah, I had my FES, the person who like went through the folder to like comb it for errors. I guess I had some homosexual tendencies at that time that came up, but they were foreign language, and they put that I had heterosexual tendencies.
Wow.
So they didn't. Yeah. So they didn't quite get that right. But yeah, it was just an origination I made in the course room after seeing a secret message. Vanessa's in the house.
Hi.
Hey.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Vanessa, when you
Hey.
were a little bean sprout Scientologist, were you told about floating in the ocean in ice cubes?
I had to join the conversation, you guys.
This is an icebreaker. It's the ultimate icebreaker.
I honestly wasn't planning on it. I just got off work. My voice is hoarse. I've been speaking all day. And I was like, they're talking about evolution right now.
Get in on it.
Happen. Okay. I specifically remember the videos being shown. They may even still be up on the CCHR website right now, of like, man is not an animal. Like, we have moved past this Freudian era of, that kind of research, right? Yeah, because we did, like, in the 60s.
Yes.
It's taught as a concept that is no longer in practice, but good to know because of the history. Not no longer in practice. There are still Freudian psychologists and Freudian therapists, but it's more and more rare, because the current thing is CBD or CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So yeah, that's where we're at. But the cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, that's current. Like, so the fact that it was at the time we're not like Freud, we're not like that. Yeah, we're not at all anymore. Like, so the evolution thing to me is really creepy, because they was tied Freud with evolution, and like the concept that man is not an animal. Since I took animal psychology, I learned so much about human beings. Oh my God. So that concept that they were always trying to put in about like us not being like animals, like, yeah, we're super highly evolved animals. In my opinion, if we can harness that, we can learn so much about ourselves, right? So in my thing, it was always like, my mother was a highly trained auditor. You were talking about the past life thing. Yeah, I was told, essentially, it was always suspected I was a past life clear, right? Just because I was such a theta potato. and just like really wasn't HE and RE and was really people pleasing. So that'll get you a past life clear if you're good, right, Serge?
Literally.
and
Reese's
so
cat is OT9.
anyway, just wanted to hop in on that one because I'm currently
Yes,
working
it
in
is.
mental health every day. Just got home from the hospital and I was like, I think that all of this technology creates the environment for psychosis, mental illness, enhances genes we might already have to express themselves by creating an environment of stress, pressure, no human reaction, TRs in all the time. And Nora, two things. One, did you see that picture I sent you today of my lanyard I was wearing in your honor? Just for allyship. I
Was
sent
that on
her.
my other phone? I'll have to go to my other
I
phone.
don't even
don't have
know. It was on Messenger. It was the
Okay.
I wear a
Oh.
rainbow lanyard to work, and I was like, hey, I feel like Nora right now, but just allying out for fun.
Thank you.
Of course, always. And then second of all, guess who my twin was on TRs and Objectives, or one of my twins
Oh.
at CC? Jordan Masterson.
Oh.
So we
So many
Nora.
kids.
What
So
year
many
was that?
kids.
Probably like 2002.
Okay. I was on the RPF. I was gonna be like,
Oh.
if I was like your soup or word
I
clear,
think
was gonna
I
shit
for
my
sure
pants.
like we definitely had interaction. Johnny
Yeah.
Lewis was there a lot. But I grew up across the street in the apartment buildings, the Shangri-La.
No, I'm sure I saw you.
He was
I'm
always
sure I saw
there.
you many,
We
many
were always
times.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got so lucky. I was like living in the cockroach apartment across the street with all the Scientology families, but Cece was my backyard. So I was like, do you love my rose garden and my castle I grew up in?
Were you the one in the apartments on Bronson? The green
Yeah.
building that we ended
No,
up buying?
Tamarind.
Oh, on Tamarind. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Danny Mustard's mom, Sue Mustard. She was
Yeah.
and he's homeless. He's homeless Mustard on YouTube, you guys. He's freaking incredible. I try to reach out to him all the time. Sometimes he responds.
Is he
but
homeless
it's been about,
now?
yeah. He's been homeless.
for
He
real?
was like, yeah, he was discovered on the street by some radio show. You guys got to get into this. It's
So is he homeless or does he have a YouTube channel?
No, he he was discovered by these guys on YouTube who filmed him because he had an incredible cover. You guys haven't seen this? You got to look it up. He had an incredible cover. It was a Radiohead song, and he became like sensational. And he didn't really even mention Scientology, but if you go listen to the podcast, he does. And he's really cool. He's in our group. Sometimes we talk about and talking and stuff. He's a second gen for sure. And I think the last message I got from him was 2 years ago. So if there's anything we can do to help Daniel Mustard, please.
I just looked up
No, I knew
homeless.
Danny.
I just looked up homeless Mustard on YouTube, and he's a whole bunch of the top results.
Yeah, he has a beautiful
He's such a
voice.
sweetheart.
But then
He
you
was such
see
a
what people
good
said,
kid.
like, I guess they got him a contract and he was homeless and stressed and maybe like suffering from mental illness, not having family support. I believe his mother passed away. I think his dad was like maybe a huge SP back in the day. So that could have been an extra layer of trauma that maybe his dad wasn't in his life. And then he just like wasn't showing up for the record things or something.
Huh. It looks like there's
me
a
see what the last
YouTube
message I
channel.
found.
It looks like there's a YouTube channel called Daniel Mustard's Homeless Songs that has almost 20,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if he actually controls this channel or if someone was
I don't think it's him. No, because he doesn't get on much. He said the last message. Well, hold on. Let me see when this was. February 22nd, 2021. And it was just personal things. But the last thing he said was, maybe you can be my shrink one day. And he said, all right, kid, get to class and I will be in touch. Big love. So that was 2021. And I wrote this year, hope you're doing okay. Still just sent. So you never know. I mean, hopefully we could find him with the power of 1,900, almost 2,000 people watching right now. Just not to bother him, but just see if he needs help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe
Wow.
we have a team, or I don't know. There's so many
Shout out
opportunities
to the
help
Shangri
people.
Lodge.
Yeah, shout out to the Shangri Lodge. We used to like rent for friends like very special birthdays. We would rent a room at CC and like watch horror movies and get room service. And it was so fancy.
So
Reese,
Vanessa,
from
Hotel.
the Midwest, was there an equivalent to the Shangri Lodge there in the Midwest region? Like, did you guys have like a big kind of like Scientology, you know, like where a bunch of Scientology homies lived and stuff?
what are you talking about?
In the Midwest. No, I don't think so, Nora.
No.
What state did you grow up in, Reese?
Nebraska, and then I'm in Kansas City now because we didn't have an org in Omaha. So we came to the closest org, which was Kansas City. But yeah, I don't think we had anything like that.
Where like all
Yeah.
the Scientology bratty kids would hang out, or did you guys just have like org ratty kids like we used to like on the West Coast? Because we always had like the kids that would just run around. Was it the same kind of scene?
It was like that, but we went into the cadet org too. So I was in the cadet org in
Okay.
Clearwater. So it was a little bit of both. But yeah, I mean, we had the org kids running around that, you know, that old chestnut. You know what that's about.
Yeah. So Vanessa, question. So
Mhm.
you said your mom was a highly trained auditor when you were growing up. What was she, a class 6 or a class 8?
So she was a class 6, but I think they canceled the BCA when she was on the last. Are you laughing because that's funny? So because you know what it means?
No, because everybody got her certs canceled
She's-
every other day.
Well, she spent my entire childhood at the org learning the BC so that she could become an auditor because she thinks that it will help save the planet. She really does. Like it's her version of me going to college.
Mhm.
And so I heard it a lot. It was like always. She said that I actually said things she was learning on course as a small infant. And so that was one of those things that was, you know, stuck with me like a little trick, like, yeah, you already know this, you're back again kind of thing. But little did they know I was clearly a psych sent to destroy them.
Okay, so was there any just crazy things that you were told as a child that just stick out to you now?
I mean, I was telling Nora on our live the other day, like, and we were just all laughing about how, yeah, I think it's hilarious that our parents think that we came to them before we were born, introduced ourselves as friendly Thetans. I mean, I did. I mean, no harm. I'm just like checking out the body. But she said I was, you know, she was like, okay, she had made a postulate, which is a Scientology word for manifestation, or what's that word that L. Ron Hubbard used? That not incantations, but he had those
Intention?
affirmations.
affirmations.
It's kind of like an affirmation that Scientologists think that if you speak it into words, it will happen. So she had postulated that she was going to marry a nice Scientologist man and have a little girl. So I came, I was like, I'm like a female Thetan. I'll be here. I think that's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. So in some ways, she manifested you.
Yes.
So,
But that was always kind of my issue, was that it was like she was having, I mean, not always my issue. It was something I realized later. She was having me to fulfill that goal of hers to have a perfect little Scientology baby, because both of my brothers weren't, like, their father fought to have them. They're my half brothers, so they were not raised in the church. They still had friends who left and went to the Sea Org and stuff, but they're not like at CC every day like we are. Their dad took my mom to court, so she said, I have 2 little boys. I want to meet a nice surfer boy, and this guy over here who's my auditor is pretty cute, and he just got back from a surf safari, so he's good with my boys. They go surfing, so let's just like get together and have a little girl at home. So I get mad that she was like fulfilling her goal of having a perfect Scientology child instead of like what you guys were saying earlier about like those people shouldn't have parents. Please don't have kids until you're like ready to be a parent and ready to be whoever that child wants to be, and support that fully, and like do your research about child development, because it's so very important for the rest of their life. Right?
Yeah.
Nora, you just look like a proud like sister over there. Are you smiling?
What about
Always proud of you.
I love you.
Vanessa? What
I'm
about
just
that?
in envy of Reese's cat. I just want to be
It's
that.
so
last
cute. I
right
started
now.
off with my small dog, but she left me. I wanted to be like Reese.
I
This
think, and the
cat is-
chat is just blowing up, Reese, about your cat. I mean, everyone is in love with your cat.
That's really why we have people watching tonight. It's always the cat.
Right.
People love the cat.
It is. I think you need to start an entire Instagram just for this cat. Sincerely, this cat is the star.
It's
Here,
very cute.
It's so weird. It does look like I'm holding a taxidermed fake. Like, look, I'm moving it. It doesn't even move.
Oh my
It's
God.
a lot. It's
That's what
weird.
I should do. I should just get like stuffed animals that look realistic and just pretend that my animal's as chill as Reese's animals. I'll be like over here stroking the damn thing for like an hour.
Can you imagine trying to hold
Be like,
Goliath like that or something? Goliath would
Doc-
just like
Dr. Evil
paw your face
style.
off.
Wait, you know what the chat is also blowing up about?
what?
That popsicles with Serge.
I know. Surge's
Because I just
popsicle
love
also.
you, Serge.
Organic popsicle, you guys.
There's nothing gayer than Sergi and a rainbow popsicle.
It's my favorite thing ever right now.
Honey, Serge said earlier, for those people just joining, that like, you know, Serge's parents put him in the Sea Org to ungay him. There was no hope of ever ungaying Serge. I don't think that was never happening.
Never worked.
He had me fooled, I'll
Never
tell
worked.
you.
Did you okay, let's
Please.
just be honest. Like the three of us have known me, Aaron, and Sergi have known each other for a very long time. You honestly never knew that Serge was gay, Aaron. I want you to be 100% honest right now.
I didn't have any gaydar back then.
Okay, Sergi, I love you so
But
much.
remember, that
When
was an
we were
insult.
all
That
together
was
and you were married to
full-blown
Lily, I knew
insult for being
100%.
critical. So you really like to think someone was gay was really like the criticism of everything. So I get it, Garen.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't
I
on
knew.
the radar. There was no gaydar. They had to install that update later.
I heard about him as a famous child auditor. Like from the outside, like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Serge Gill. Oh my God. Like he was the prodigy.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I had respect for you for all the things that you were Scientologically, but the minute I met you, within 3 seconds, I was like, that man is gay as a jaybird, and his wife is gorgeous, and maybe she could be my girlfriend later. Like,
Well, plus, it was never quite clear. Serge,
also,
maybe you can set
I
the
did
record.
have a little crush on her, I'll be honest.
Maybe you can set the record straight on this. So you and Lily got married in the Sea Org. Are you or are you not cousins with Lily?
No, we're
Oh
not
my God.
related.
That was a rumor.
No, that was a rumor
a-
that was a rumor we made up because we were really good close friends. I mean, we known
Right.
each other since childhood, and because of the 2D flows, remember everybody that had a friend there would be told that they had a 2D flow. So then we just kind of put out the rumor, oh, we're cousins. So for a lot of years, nobody kind of fucked with us because they're like, oh, they're just cousins. So that kind of like helped us be still friends and not be accused of 2D flowing. And then later on, we got married, and then people were like, what? And they're like, no, who told you that? That's totally a rumor.
Okay, so
Love
let's
how you
set this
created
record.
totally false rumor.
Let's set this record straight as well. Why did you guys even bother getting married?
I think it was a survival mechanism for us. I mean, that's how we actually were able to leave. You know, we were really good friends. And once we were able to get married, we had our own room. We got freedoms we never had before. I mean, literally, if you're not married, you're in a bunk room with like 10 other people. Always, you have not a shred of privacy. So at least marrying felt like it was an upgrade. At least we would have our own room. You know, we already got along. We liked each other, and we were just like, it was how we escaped that disgusting hotel. Because once we got married, we could actually talk and really say we hate it here. We started watching movies in our room, like totally hiding. We went and bought a DVD thing, and we had it hidden in a trunk. So we, after post, we go and watch like Sex and the City. We watch all Sex and the City. We watch Friends. We watch all these series that nobody had a clue we were watching. But these were all the perks of having our own space finally. And that's what that made us decide, no, we're getting the hell out of here because of Sex and the City. And we ended up living in New York because of Sex and the City. I mean, I kid you
I
not.
love it.
So like, but did you guys, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is how much did each of you know? And like, was it full blown upfront? We're just doing this as an arrangement. Did she fully understand your situation? And why didn't she just marry someone for real? Like what was going on there?
Well, she couldn't marry anyone that was like me, that was going to be able to get her out of there. I mean, again, it's like because of our friendship, we relied on each other, and there was not a lot of talk or anything. We didn't almost had to. We got together, we got married, we got our own room, and we started watching movies, and we started, at least like we had something to look forward to, because that place was so horrific and disgusting that we had something to look forward to. And we had this thing where, again, it's like I had her, with her and two other friends, we would never write KRs on each other no matter what. And there were only like two other people like that. And those were the only people we could actually trust, because that was sort of like the pact. Like, we, no matter what anybody does, us three never write each other up, and we always can tell each other what the hell is going on. So that's kind of
nothing worse than a KR snitch or things that shouldn't be from a guy who just got wasted and made out with a bunch of chicks, who's like, but she was there.
Yeah. So, it was not talked about like that, but it was just a coping mechanism for us to get the hell out of there.
Amazing. How long after you
Both
guys got
of you
married
were
did you guys
always
leave
the
the
best,
Sea Org?
I think within a year and a half.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Vanessa, was any of the crazy shit that you were told as a kid with a highly trained Scientology auditor parent?
Honestly, too much to bring up right now. It's like, how do you condense your entire childhood when all your mom does is talk to other Scientologists or Sea Org members on the phone all day long? Like,
So anything about past life stuff, like you're this or you're that or anything like
I mean,
that?
I got a lot of past life auditing myself, but you mean like from the parents specifically?
Yeah, I guess.
I think that they think my case was fucked up at some point because my clear cycle got fucked up by somebody specifically. And that's what my mom blames it on. I found out that they had my folders as an adult. My mom had my folders. And I believe that, Nora. Yeah, Nora, it's against the law, breaking the law, even the Scientology law.
Was she trying to like go through them and like fix them up for you?
They've had me marked and pegged for a long time as someone who's disaffected, because I had a hard time with, like, every time I'd be like, I'm super depressed. They'd be like, okay, how about some more auditing though? And then they just kind of can't blame the tech, so they blame the auditor. Right? Yep. So then the auditor, who was like a really nice woman, but she's brainwashed as hell, in my opinion. She can't not think like that, but she was like my mentor. Beautiful woman. She was a model. And she was an auditor too. Yeah.
Yes.
Virginia.
Yeah.
She's to this day, she's actually, I found out, mentioned in the Jane Doe civil suit as somebody who speaks negatively of the Jane Doe's character assassination. But she was like a second mom to me. So my father worked so hard to like get me mental health help. because all my friends were really, really not okay, and none of us were okay. And it was just in the form of auditing. So it was just unhelpful. But I was always at Virginia's house. And then she also audited Taylor Tweed. And so Taylor and I were on the same kind of path. So then, you know, when Taylor passed away, I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like, you guys are literally like, I don't know where this is going, but I gotta get out of here. And
I'm going to say something super harsh about Virginia.
Okay,
like
please.
people have said like the word honeypot and other stuff. Like Virginia is like the young Scientology. You know, you were like a young it girl at CC. All of the young it kids were sent to Virginia for all of the reasons that you said. She's pretty. She speaks the lingo. She had
She
a
was
young
a
daughter
Victoria's
herself.
Secret model.
She was a Victoria's Secret model, so she knows the industry.
Damn, who
She
are we
can
talking
speak
about?
the lingo. Virginia McGregor.
Victoria's
And I'll
Secret.
her name.
Oh wow, we just opened
coming
a
out of
whole freaking can of worms.
her name's coming out of my mouth because I know her personally. I will look directly into the camera, and I'm
You can
talking to
see
you,
my-
Virginia.
You can see my
Because I used to be
anxiety.
her word clearer, so I have no qualms crawling up her booty hole.
Oh,
and
Virginia
making her
McGregor.
McGregor.
MAC.
Yeah, McGregor, because she's Scottish, a McGregor. Okay, we can say it like that if we
is
want
she
to
actually
like just fuck
Scottish?
her up. Yeah, well, that's a Scottish name, isn't it?
No,
McGregor.
I mean, does she have an accent?
No, she does not. She's
Oh,
too
okay.
hot for that. And so she was a field auditor, big time for Celebrity Center, and she would get sent all of, you know, the young kids and things like that. And the people, not necessarily that the HC didn't want to handle, it wasn't that, because obviously Celebrity Center wanted all the money, but you know, to keep the field doing what the field is supposed to be doing and keeping everybody in the circle, she would be handling these young, kind of rowdy kids that, you know, we didn't want them hanging around, you know, the org because they're rowdy and, you know, just rambunctious teens. So she would get the rambunctious teens and do all that kind of stuff just to keep the riffraff out of the cafe and things like that. And let's face it,
You're
let's
so
take
right
a
now,
tally
Nora.
of
You're
all of-
so
all of-
right.
All of the pre-clears that she had, where are they now? Let's do a where are they now? Taylor is dead. R.I.P. Taylor, because she unalived herself, and that is very tragic. Vanessa's still here with us. Thank you, Vanessa, for being here. We love you very, very much. But most of her pre-clears, not Scientologists anymore. Okay. They're not. They have walked away, second gens, and they're quietly under the radar or just living their life, doing something else. I don't know of anybody else who is in the same category as Taylor.
Lolo
Who?
Doll passed away too. That was her piece.
Okay. There's another one. But if we went through her pre-clear list, you would probably find many who are on drugs and other things who are not doing well.
That was
have
a
great
car
track record.
accident too. Lolo and Elvis.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, death by suicide.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, not a great track record. There might be a few that are in the Sea Org and other things, but yeah, she was quite the wrangler of the minors, for that, you know.
Sweet.
Not
I
the
forget why we
greatest
started
person.
talking. How did we start talking about Virginia? I forget.
Because that was Vanessa's auditor.
My
that
past
was
life
handling
auditor
her
who got
depression. Handling her
targeted.
depression.
She also got targeted, though. That was the reason why my mom was really like, oh, that Virginia messed up your case. And then they had another CS go through it, a higher class CS than my first CS. I also worked at a field group, Nora. So the field is very active in Los Angeles. It's not just CC, it's field auditors, public Scientologists who are paid massive amounts of money. I worked there for years, and I recruited people from these Scientology consulting companies, sold Dianetics books every weekend. It's very easy. It was right next to the Way to Happiness Foundation. But yeah, so my mom blamed essentially, I think, because of what she's said, my disaffection on her kind of running the wrong things on me. So when I was going, you know, into deep past lives, because I was madly in love with another male Scientologist who kept coming up as my lifetime after lifetime lover. I wonder why. It's not like teenage girls are like have hormones or anything. And when they're trapped in rooms to come up with stories about their lives, they're like, oh, this man is so hot, and he's already declared PTS. Serge, you're laughing.
Winner.
But you
Yes.
know, like
PTS type
just-
D.
Because
oh
you
my
just
god.
described all our sessions, literally, Vanessa. I mean, every crush we had, we were there
It's
in
like
that room figuring out.
Fantasyland.
Oh,
It's
it
like
must have been another
you're literally like
lifetime. Oh,
I thought I was at the factory with Andy Warhol and him. If anyone.
no,
So like if you can imagine how unhelpful that is,
Yeah.
instead of helpful, like if you would have maybe talked to me about how to have boundaries at that point instead of sitting down and doing TRs, like learning to be okay if men try to like mess with you and you have to sit there with your eyes open and take it, like that's wild. So they're literally doing the opposite of how you want to raise teenage girls, and I have a problem with that.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. So who was told some crazy shit as a kid?
Well, I would say that, you know, I would hear it in the audits that I was doing, right? All these people were like, you know, I can't tell you how many women were Marilyn Monroe. And, you know, you would have to like, I remember looking at it. What the hell? I audited this woman that told me she was Marilyn Monroe. And then like a month later, there was another woman being like, oh yeah, and JFK and let me tell you about this thing. And I just remember, and you're not allowed to tell them that they're not, because they tell you, oh, don't evaluate, don't invalidate. So you're just like, wait, I thought I already
And you're
talked
not
to
supposed
Marilyn.
to talk about your case with other people.
Yeah.
So, because it could stimulate them, or you could be running an engram accidentally with
Yeah.
each other, and you could really mess yourself up. So you can never verify that, like,
Yeah.
oh wow, I was also Marilyn or whatever.
So two different women claiming the same thing. I remember like, because that was like the first one that I was like shocked about, because it happened like 3 weeks ago that I took this woman in session. She said she was Marilyn. And then 3 weeks later, this totally other random woman who would have never talked to her said the same thing. But, you know, of course, they were running different aspects of, one was talking about the suicide of Marilyn, and the other one was talking about JFK and her and this and that. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Did that have any impact on your belief in people's recalls in general?
I mean, everything was so absurd. You know, but you had no tools to repudiate it or call out anything, because again, then it became that you haven't misunderstood, or you must have not read a policy. There must be a policy that explains this somewhere. So you're always thinking that there's an answer from L. Ron Hubbard lurking somewhere, you know. So even if it doesn't make any sense, you just always get told you're the stupid one, and there must be something L. Ron Hubbard wrote about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's one. We can take a survey on this. What about the fact that science says what the Earth is 4 point something billion years, the universe is what, somewhere between 12 and 15 billion years? I can never really remember that. And yet L. Ron Hubbard's talking about trillions of years and all this kind of stuff. What were you guys told as kids growing up in Scientology, how the reason for that discrepancy?
Time is a lie. First of all, they tell you time is a complete lie. So, but then they spend all this time telling you about the track and the years. I mean, again, everything just contradicts itself.
They created the concept of the meshed universe themselves to outwit the concepts you're trying to talk about. So then they teach you about what the meshed universe means, because it's a totally new concept that they own.
Yeah.
Reese, you're like on an episode of Animal Planet at this point. Like,
It's serious. It's serious business. I don't know what to do. Sorry if it's distracting.
no, I want to know your answer though too. I'm enjoying the dog who's like patting you, and then the cat at the same time.
Getting mad about it. Yeah. No, it's a
Right?
lot. This is what I do
It's
all
a-
day.
I love it. I'm loving every moment of it.
It's a lot to take
It's
in.
amazing. But what do you think about that? About Aaron's question?
Oh, that's not what I meant to show. Sorry.
Aaron, tell me the question again. I think I kind of have the same answer as Serge. That there really
The,
is no
The discrepancy between L. Ron Hubbard stating how old Thetans are, how old the universe is, whatever, combined with what science says is the age of the Earth and the age of the universe, or how far long ago the Big Bang was, and all that stuff.
I mean, due to the fact that I was dumped here in an iceberg, whether I was in human form, I don't know if I had a body. He didn't tell me that part, sadly. That's all I know. I'm afraid of the ocean. I get cold easily. It all adds up. Makes a lot of sense for me. And so, concept of time, there is no time when you're in an iceberg for eons. Floating around like
Captain
you're in a fish
America.
tank. I felt like I was in a fish tank in a chiropractic office, just watching everybody else.
I do love the
don't
frozen
know.
in an ice cube thing, because
Did you ever read the 30 years flag order, Reese? Did you guys ever read? I mean, because you were in the cadet org and stuff, the 30 years flag order that came out in 1970, where he basically says the Earth has 30 years left of survivability, and then the Earth will die. And that was like the main recruiting flag order that everybody used to show, people that's why we have to man up the Sea Org and we have to clear the planet right now because the Earth has 30 years left. It came out in 1970.
I think I would remember
No?
that. So no, I don't think so.
I'm the only one.
I don't
I used
remember
to use
that.
that all the time as a recruiter.
remember that,
That was my
Serge?
main 30 years, guys. 30 years.
Nora, you know about the man who wrote the first research on cognitive dissonance and who he followed to write it?
Who did he follow?
He followed,
Please don't say L. Ron Hubbard.
no, but a woman who had a connection to Scientology started what seems to us as what they call a squirrel group, like a splinter. And these people then went and believed a prophecy like that, like one of those weird prophecies that doesn't even make sense. And the man followed them because it kept not coming true. And he wrote the first research on cognitive dissonance. I believe it was Leon Festinger. And it was literally following someone who was influenced by L. Ron Hubbard at some point. And I just found that so wild. But that there's so much written on why do people make themselves believe that crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, but I mean that was that's true. But there is a flag order called, and it's literally titled 30 years. He wrote that in 1970. So apparently in the year 2000 the Earth was supposed to die. The Earth itself was supposed to die. He didn't have a plan, by the way, in that flag order to like have us build a spaceship, have us like get the fuck off of the planet, like heal the planet, do anything to solve global warming, anything, like let's dig a fucking cavern and like build a fucking something. No. Oh, good. We're got a DC-8 flying. Good. I'm glad NASA's on it. But I feel like it was just literally like recruit because the Earth is going to die. This he was always half baked, or like a third. I don't know what the fraction is. It's very small, like baked. Like do this. It's the same thing with the target too. Like we were all told when LRH died. I was 10 when he died. So sad, Panda. We all got called to that event. Let's all just hustle in to the event. We don't know what's happening. And then the Sea Org members got on stage. That was a weird kid moment. Like, oh, we're going into an event. This is going to be fun time. Maybe there's free champagne again and some free snacks. And then it's the big moment. The Sea Org members get on the stage and L. Ron Hubbard has causatively left the body and he's gone on to Target 2. And then all of our parents collectively just sort of like fell over and just started like weeping, and I was like, what does that mean? What happened? Causatively left his body. Like he's a poltergeist? Like he's what is this? Is a ride at Disneyland? What does this mean? He's gone on to Target 2. No mention of where that is. There's no map. There's no directions. No time that we should be there. No RSVP. Very unhelpful. Very, very nebulous. No No spreadsheet of what we should be getting done. Nothing.
Okay, here's an interesting one, guys.
It's weird.
Do Scientologists salute the flag, say the Pledge of Allegiance, sing the national anthem, vote, pay taxes? I meant to ask this with my super chat. I don't remember what the super chat was, but so this is interesting.
We do recite the code of the steward, remember?
Like I went to public school until the 6th grade. We did the Pledge of Allegiance and all that kind of stuff. I guess my answer to this is there was nothing I was ever told in Scientology that would make it like not okay to express American patriotism or any nationalism for any other, country for that matter. Like, it's not like you must only show allegiance to Scientology. You must not salute the flag. I know some religious groups do have something like that, like where. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I hesitate to mention any names. If I get it wrong, I'm going to get crucified in the comments.
I mean, I would go first and say this was a racketeering scam, and the flag and all of that is just a waste of time. Honestly, it's sort of like, yeah, you can go and do that, but why would you be wasting your time when you could be doing some TRs or you
go
could
and do what? Saluting the flag?
Yeah, it's just
Well-
everything's just considered a waste of time. And then as far as paying taxes, it's like there's so much criminality involved inside those hotels of people doing very, very shady things with taxes, including one of the interview questions before you get accepted is, are you doing anything, wrong with your taxes? And are there any criminal things going on with your taxes? And then the thing is that once they find out what you're doing criminal with your taxes, they kind of jump on the opportunity depending on what it is. Like I remember this woman had a ton of cash stashed away that she wasn't talking about. So then she was made to donate a bunch of money to the books with that cash. With the information we were data mining, they were using it as oh, that's a good statistic. So just make her do amends. So again, government is a waste of time. Taxes are a waste of time. The law's a waste of time. It's all there. But the really good stuff that you're really getting somewhere is if you go in the sessions. The sessions are everything, and everything is just a waste of time.
I did just think. Oh, go ahead, Vanessa. You're muted, by the way. Okay. What's weird? You unmuted yourself, but now we can't hear you. That's really weird.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I was just keeping myself on mute in case the dogs go wild. I don't want everybody's ear holes to bleed. We had not, for me, it wasn't patriotism. It was always very anti-government themed and don't tell the government anything. And they're really out to get us, but we'll use them to safeguard the environment because they're SPs, but we can kind of work with them, right? But we had our own version, and it happened quite often. And it was looking at L. Ron Hubbard's photo and saying, hip, hip, hooray, every day, all day. We did this at Delphi for some reason. So that was our Pledge of Allegiance. We were hip, hip, hooray to him.
That's true. It's one of the weirdest things that we would do in a Scientology org. And I, in the Philadelphia org, as the lead course supervisor, every night, I did that. Every night. That's it. End of the night. How'd you guys do today? Who wants to share any wins? Da, 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 da. All right, let's give 3 cheers to LRH. Hip, hip.
Yeah.
Hip, hip.
You were that guy, Aaron?
I was so good at it,
Yeah.
Vanessa. You would have been cheering like a mofo. Hooray! Hooray!
Aaron
I
was
would've.
so enthusiastic.
I would have. It's embarrassing. I would have, because I remember feeling so proud when we got our IRS tax status. I was like, we're fucking
But see, I
real.
wanted to say
Like-
something about that. When we got the IRS tax status, CC Celebrity Center was so good at the marketing. We would do a whole Uncle Sam thing in regards to the taxes and be like, make Uncle Sam work for you, and have the little pointy guy with the hat, and then have Uncle Sam save you money on your next bridge step. And so at tax season, it was like a whole thing how your taxes were going to pay for your bridge. So that's how we would twist the taxes into a positive thing, into paying for your bridge, because you get tax, it was a tax shelter now to pay for your bridge.
Yeah.
There was something.
And also with the voting, who remembers when they came to our tables during our training to be like, hey, kids, we can't tell you who to vote for because that's not the law, but we really like this particular person who's going for the city council here in Florida. So if you are registered, we'd really appreciate it if you guys might want to get down to the voting booth and check mark Joe.
Well,
But
they
hey,
also sent out mass
remember, it's your
emails.
choice. But they literally went table to table while we were eating there in the bank vault in Florida to tell us not who to vote for, but who they'd really appreciate if we check mark.
Yeah.
If you were already registered.
Debbie Cook's Hotel.
So there's something that I'm actually surprised this didn't come up more in all of our Scientology stuff. In the policy letter, Keeping Scientology Working, which is the most important policy letter in Scientology, it's in the beginning of every course pack. He literally shits on democracy. He says, and the context is he's like, I did all this by myself. Nobody really helped. And people attack me as undemocratic for saying I did it all by myself. But personally, I feel like democracy has not done anything for society, but push it further into the mud. Now, I didn't have any, political framework when I, read that for the first time. I had to look up what's democracy and all this shit. And so, but if I had read it, I'd be like, he is shitting on democracy, right? And it's one of these things, if people could do Scientologists vote. Scientologists vote if someone like me is running for city council and they're showing up to vote against me. But for the most part, they tend not to bother because L. Ron Hubbard says, why bother? This world is a piece of shit. We have to make a new world. You're not going to vote. You're not going to vote the world out of its problems. You can only do it with Scientology. So interestingly enough, L. Ron Hubbard craps on the very idea of democracy. And I think, now I know there's a lot of Scientologists watching that's like, that's not true. I vote in every election. You're like, yeah, good for you. Good for you. But L. Ron Hubbard absolutely takes a big steaming dump on the very idea of democracy in the most important policy letter in Scientology.
Yeah.
But then don't
politics has
forget,
become
and
more
OT
popular
can't
now.
do it
but
alone.
Back in the day,
And
they
OT
didn't.
can't do it alone, and that's why he formed the Sea Org. So he contradicts himself in the very most important policy letter, KSW, and then formed the Sea Organization because he tried to do everything by himself in Africa and got kicked the fuck out because he's a fucking criminal. And then it's just everything is a contradiction, though, Aaron. Like you're right.
I mean,
He's
we're
still
literally
accusing all of
asked.
democracy, and then he has to make a group to do everything for him because he's lazy as hell.
We're literally asked as children if we have government connections or have been speaking to the FBI. Like, I'm sorry.
Serge just did a whole video on that. Serge just did a whole video on that.
So that is one of the craziest things that when I've heard people recounting their experiences, something I managed to avoid is people who were born and raised in Scientology will be interrogated whether they were sent by the FBI or the CIA to, what is it called? Not invade. What is it called? To
infiltrate.
Infiltrate. That's what I meant. I was implanted to infiltrate because I'm a psych. They said psychs. Yes. They said psychs were in charge of the volcanoes. They were the reason. You guys, stop.
Reese, how many times
you're not giving me enough SP credit over here? I'm the big volcano psych.
Okay, I love the psychs. I love the psychs were in charge of the volcanoes. That's my new favorite saying. Which volcano were you in charge of? My volcano's exploding right now. The BTs are going nuts.
I mean, I guess someone's got to be the bad guy here.
Well, Reese must have several volcanoes because she's still cold. She's still in her ice. So she's
stuck in that ice, guys.
She's in charge of the Antarctic volcanoes that are still in the ice. That's your volcanoes, Reese. There's technically volcanoes under there.
One of the funniest things about this idea in the OT3 story,
you don't want to be there.
all the Thetans were frozen and then dropped it. Well, maybe some of them missed the volcanoes and bounced off and wound up in the ocean. But then it's like, okay, so the ice cube melts and the Thetan's like, by the way, a Thetan who's not supposed to have any position in space or time has apparently been stuck in this ice cube. And then it melts and all of a sudden he's like, I'm free. I don't know what to do with myself, though. Like,
no, it gloms onto you, buddy.
So,
Yeah,
but it
because
was
they get
stuck in.
exploded into
but
little pieces. It's just like little pieces of Thetan. It's just
Yeah.
Thetan specks
Well, and
of
just to read
Thetan.
everyone the question we were talking about, what is the state of your compliance to US or other country tax codes, pull strings, and do you have any way of avoiding taxes that would be considered illegal?
What's
Those are
that?
literally the questions before they accept you on services.
They
The part of
should
the
just
A to Z
ask
check?
our U.S.
A to Z check.
politicians that question because they are the ones with the answers to that.
Yeah, there's the
We don't
A to
have
Z
those answers, guys. I don't know. I
I
pay all my
mean,
taxes.
check. I mean,
honestly, though, too, like emotionally, they should not be asking young children if they're considering suicide or have ever attempted suicide. Like, I was way too young. I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, I wasn't, but now
we'll
I'm
clear it.
considering
We'll
looking it up.
clear the
And
definition of suicide for you. You don't
okay,
know
I
what
think
it
maybe
means?
that happened.
Right?
I mean, it's so unthinkable and disgusting.
Okay, this is an interesting question. Moonage Daydream. Is there a Scientology flag? I don't remember ever seeing flags on the buildings, but it feels like
Yes.
something Hubbard would have done. This is actually interesting because it never, you'd think that
Sea Org
there
flag.
would be some crazy thing we get to
There's a
salute the
Sea Org.
Scientology
You're
flag.
just right. There's a Sea Org flag. There's also the S and the double triangle. And people put that in badges on their cars. But sometimes I've seen it as a flag, but they don't fly it. They don't fly it. But it can be, like on Sea Org Day, it comes up as a flag, the S and double triangle. But people mostly put it as like a badge, as like a fucking car badge. That's where if you ever drive around LA,
Yeah.
you'll be like, Scientologist.
Here you go,
know 'em
guys.
right off the
There's
bat.
your flags.
Boom. Wait, am I
So
in that
what's on
picture,
that
Serge?
flag?
Am
What's
I
on
in
that flag?
there? Or is that from
That's
flag?
Dianetics standard technology flag.
Mhm.
Right.
That'll be another one. Sea Org Day is an excellent example of when you're going to see the flags.
The reason I think this is so interesting is because I'm sort of surprised they haven't leaned heavier into putting,
that.
Scientology Dianetics flags everywhere and having it be like an important thing, kind of like you weren't going to any of Hitler's parties without that flag being there. You know what I'm saying? They took it pretty seriously. I'm surprised Scientology doesn't take its own flags very seriously because it's not. I would never say it was like a thing,
No, it was a thing just to like Sea Org Day and graduation and the IRS event. It was just for glorification of their stupidity. And here is L. Ron Hubbard, you guys, christening, literally child trafficking people, minors, right there. A photograph of him child trafficking a minor, so that
On the
everyone
ship. Yeah.
stops
You
playing
guys,
dumb with us.
that's as a public, we had very different.
Oh.
My parents were activists. My father still runs in the Dianetics run team with the triangle on his back. And we also were part of donating our time doing beach cleanups every week because we were the CC Surf Club. And we put Dianetics like acrylics on our surfboards. So we were trying to rep the flag, but and then we also have the car emblems. So if you're around LA and you see the car emblem, you go like this, like the triangle, and like tribe.
That's funny. And you'd think Scientologists would have like secret handshakes or greet each other like this or something like that. But
Well, we did on the road. We really did.
you
That
did
was
what?
how we did that to each other. That
What?
was in LA when you see the Scientology logo on the car
Yeah.
and you're driving, like you literally do you throw up the ARC triangle.
Who does?
Who
Me
did
and my
that?
mom.
You throw
You guys
throw
were
it up
in
to the
Sea
car.
Org.
You throw it up to the car if you saw the car.
You're driving around.
Did you ever do
LA.
that, Reese? I never did
Well,
this.
she was in a state.
I was
that
in an
was
ice cube.
Scientologist.
Yeah.
No, I still see them on the street. I drive by a Dianetics billboard. Like it's the rampant culture if you're tribe out here.
I hadn't thought out yet.
Okay. Somebody has to make just like Reese's head above an ice cube with like it melting. I want this merch. I'm going to wear it everywhere. Like I just want Reese in an ice cube.
We laugh about it, but it was weird to hear as a 4-year-old. I mean, I had my attention on it for a long time.
I would
remember
too.
this is weird, but I remember going to the movie Titanic and I got like super keyed in. And I mean, really, like, shut up, Aaron. I
Reese
did. I
is
was
like
like,
totally upset about Titanic.
because remember in the end, they're all they're in the ocean freezing, and there's
Yeah.
like you can see everybody's breath. Aaron,
Everyone's upset, like, Jack, no, Jack. And she's like, fuck,
and my
Jack, what
teeth are
about that
chattering.
iceberg?
Yeah, my teeth are like chattering, and I'm all keyed in, and my lips are turning blue, sitting in the theater.
Right?
And my
like,
dad had
these
to,
guys
he had to
are
give me a
all
locational. I had to get a locational from that.
I feel you on that.
Well, actually, I was petrified with E.T. E.T. was the thing that literally terrorized me, like from the alien stuff. Like E.T. phone home, I was so scared of it. I thought it was so scary.
Like
Yeah.
for Scientology
You guys
stuff, or
wanna hear
just
the-
because he's a scary looking alien?
Well, no, I mean, I was still very young, but it was one of those movies that terrorized me about the whole alien theory. Just the fact that there was like outside aliens that could come at any time. And, we were preparing in these
How do you feel now
hotels
that the
for
US
their
government has
arrival.
acknowledged they're already here? Are you okay?
What's that?
I said the government's acknowledged they're already here. Are you okay?
Well, you know what? I'm going to just eat some Reese's
You
in
have some reason.
honor of Reese Ice Cube.
I got a
Get ready.
second gen tattoo of an alien. A second gen actually did this on me, and it's an alien smoking a cigarette, like, because I identify as like an alien who landed on Earth. Like Scientology was like we lived on another planet and we had to come to Earth. So it's an alien smoking a cigarette saying, "But is it art?" And a second gen literally did it for me. So I was like, this is our tribe one.
Serge, ET was a loyal officer. Okay, I need to put out a request to the SP Nation for someone to Photoshop like a screen capture, like a scene grab from Titanic that shows the iceberg, and like Reese is in the iceberg. Reese is still thawing out. She's like, Daddy,
What?
that was the iceberg I was stuck in.
I would look like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining. That's what I look like.
Just the
Yes. Yeah, crazy eyes and shit. Yeah, that was me. I
Like,
was terrified.
you were using your theta powers. You might have been stuck in that iceberg, but you could control it. You were probably moving the iceberg around, and that's why the Titanic never saw the iceberg coming,
You
because Reese
fucked them
moved
up,
it.
Reese.
Reese moved it into the way.
That's some
And Reese, you
serious
probably
eval.
also sunk those people that were looking for it. You
Reese
probably
was like,
sunk the
"Fuck that
submarine that
shit."
was there trying to explore.
She didn't.
That's a
She
lot
didn't
of
just crash it.
evaluation.
She just like fucking SOS bitch. I'm gonna boop a doop boop 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 boop, because that's what happened to that ship. It wasn't just one bang. It was boop a doop boop boop boop. That's how it hit that.
Oh my god. I can't.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
it's
That's
hurtful.
amazing. What makes it even funnier that her dad told her that story is that he had not done OT3. That's what makes that story even funnier to me.
Can I just say something? All of our parents somehow they sound so similar. I wish they could all have somehow a dinner party together, because my daddy knew some weird people, and he told me very specifically, like a month before he passed. He was like, and this is before the new e-meter and all this bullshit came out, right before we trained, and then we were like secretly using the new e-meter and we didn't fucking know, and everyone was like, it's a brand new e-meter. He was like, hey, don't buy any e-meters right now because there's something new coming. And I was like, what do you fucking mean? This is the state of the art. Like, shouldn't I just get one? He's like, absolutely not. There's going to be a brand new super high tech e-meter. Trust me. I know. And I was like, how the fuck do you know? He's like, I know people. And I was like, sure. And then he fucking died. And then, oh shit. Now I forgot the guy's name. He was a wackadoo from the HGB. He came to me and he was like, did your dad still have the plans? And apparently he was working with some wackadoo Sierra guy on how to fly a, anti-gravity thing. And then he was convinced somebody from the government injected my dad with an air bubble, and it was a whole thing. Yeah, that guy was cuckoo cuckoo. My dad had a massive heart attack. His heart almost exploded because he was smoking like 3 packs of cigarettes a day and drinking coffees. But he was OT in a cacon, so nothing could hurt him. So he was breaking the law.
What
Yeah.
were you guys told? What were you told about the importance of taking care of your physical health, your body, or the lack of the importance because we are not our bodies and we're senior to the physical universe? Did any of that creep into your upbringing?
It's the number one reason I'm not okay with Scientology. I just feel like any day I'm gonna get a call because my mom still smokes like a pack a day, and it's because she thinks cancer is caused by losses on the second dynamic, and it's really not okay to like not think your body, because then you can't take care of your body properly, and you don't listen to your body, and you just hear other things, and then you die because you never use preventative medicine. So for me, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, everything was always secondary and everything was explained with L. Ron Hubbard stuff, PTSD, blah, blah, blah. That was always first and foremost. And, you know, and then if the person was literally dying or whatever, then it's like, okay, let's really go take him to the doctor. But it was like after the person would literally go through all these like ridiculous handlings that people learn in a 2-week course at a hotel to treat cancer, to treat heart problems, brain things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter there.
Serge, have you ever been to Vista Del Mar?
Vista Del Mar? I don't think so. Where's that, in California? I know like there's like a Del Mar something here in California, but not Vista.
There you go, Cheryl. See, you got your question answered. See, you thought you wouldn't, but your OT powers just sucked us all right in. You got your question answered. Thank you. All right. What else,
about you,
guys?
Reese? Were you told the same thing? Like when you got sick as a kid?
Just, you know, same as you guys, just being PTS and just
Well,
that,
here's
you know,
one, Reese.
again,
Here's
that
one.
old chestnut.
Reese, didn't your dad tell you that was why your tears were salty? Is because all the years you spent
What?
bobbing in the ocean?
Yeah. Yep. Because I was
No.
bobbing around
Yes.
like a clownfish.
What?
The saltiness of the tears was a thing from a book from
Yep.
L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a clam.
Well,
That's where you
that's
go
from
to
the clam thing,
because the
right?
clam was with the sun and it started like dropping tears. So yeah.
You better believe it. I was there.
But but your dad told you that's why, because you were bobbing around in the ocean in your ice cube.
Like Nemo. Yeah. Yes.
Did your dad know my dad? Like, I swear to God, these two guys. Is your dad still alive, Reese?
I believe so. Yes.
Hey, they
Yeah.
could be the same dad, bodies in pawn we were talking about earlier.
Right? They could be. Maybe my dad faked his death, and then our dads are the same guy, and then he just carried on being your dad instead of being my dad. My dad would do that. He's that kind of guy.
Pretty evil. This guy's pretty evil. So I don't know.
What? Okay. Well, I don't know. My dad was pretty much a dipshit, so I don't know. He could be that he was a good actor. He just, you know. Did your dad smoke a lot? Did he like to have the cigarette dangling from his lip while he was talking like this? Like the
No.
thing? No.
No, no. I don't think he ever smoked.
My dad couldn't live without cigarettes, so I don't know. That'd be a stretch for him.
That would be kind of weird.
Do you have pot belly?
All right.
No.
Maisie Barnett
Okay,
has
definitely not the same guy.
Maisie Barnett has probably made like 15 comments or questions asking
Okay, let's
whether
see what you
this
say.
question was going to get answered or not. Okay, so let's do it. Maisie says, I am positive for COVID, so was feeling bad until I realized it's Monday and I'd get to see y'all. Thanks for making my day. Aaron, have you heard from John Lundeen lately or received any more apologies? Maisie, thank you for the super chat. The answer is no.
Did John Lundeen contact you, Aaron?
Yeah, like 13 years ago.
Oh, to say what?
To say he's sorry for how he mishandled everything when I was the tech sec and he was the captain, and he's now he was clearly doing RPECs or lower conditions, and he he just wanted to reach out and hopes that I get up the bridge as quickly as possible. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, right. You need to do your handling, blah blah blah.
You can get up these nuts as quickly as possible. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Did he
Cry
and
me
McCrink
a
get
river,
married?
Undine. Cry us a river. An entire river of salty, clammy tears.
Yeah.
Some iceberg tears.
Did McCrink ever fulfill her RPF prophecy and marry him?
Who's McCrink?
Sarah McCrink.
I don't know who that is.
Oh. She was at your org with you.
Sarah McCrink? I don't know a Sarah McCrink.
You just She was there, and then she was RPF, and then
That
she
must be
came
a
back, I
memory.
believe, while you were still there.
That memory must belong to one
Oh,
of your
you
BTs because it's not mine.
you would
It's not yours. That's
you
a
would
false
not
memory.
forget that woman. I can promise you all of the
Yeah.
promises.
All right. I've been
yeah.
throwing up comments on the screen that didn't really require responses. So the ones that I have saved are the ones that do.
Let's do it.
Okay. Question, maybe a little off topic. Whatever happened to the girl auditor, Natalie? Is she still in Scientology? This must be talking about Natalie
Oh.
Galbiotti, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you guys know anything about Natalie Galbiotti? Whatever happened to her?
Last I know, she's still there.
At Flag?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
The only thing I know about her is her husband that I was on the RPF with. So
Remind me what his name was.
Mateo.
Mateo. He
Mateo
went out to D,
Galbiati.
and then he came to the RPF and went out to D.
So Mateo cheated on Natalie?
Yes,
Yeah, and then he
with Ignacio
Yeah.
Tidu's wife. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
Ignacio Tidu, but Ignacio was another auditor at Flag, and his wife was Christina Tidu, and she was like a top auditor at the Sandcastle, and they were both Italian.
She was
and
hot.
they started going up to the.
Yeah.
I don't remember
And then he came to
Mateo.
the
Was he
RPF,
a
went out
good?
to D twice on
Okay.
the RPF. Then he
I don't-
left and
all right,
got married to
all right.
Sarah McCrink. Then they got divorced. She went back in the Sea Org. And then he used her for a green card. It was
I
a
don't
whole thing.
remember Mateo. Was he a good looking dude?
Eh.
I just remember Natalie was like particularly good looking, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Sorry.
Was
that
Mateo
the-
like one of
that
these
was the
old
gay in me
pervs who
jumped
just
out.
like, okay.
No, he
I
was
don't-
a
I don't
young.
know if
He was a young solo not CS. Like he was one of the youngest class
Yeah.
9 CSs. He became a CS, a case supervisor, as a minor.
Right.
He was a groomer.
Well, wait. Well, he just said he was the youngest one. I mean, what do
One
you
of the
mean?
youngest ones. I mean,
But he
it was
wasn't
him.
a minor also.
Camilo Saldarriaga was another one that was a very young initial case supervisor and auditor, highly trained auditor. There were all these kids that were even my examples because I saw them become that. I saw Natalie become an auditor. So that's how all these children got groomed and normalized for us to become auditors because we saw young people doing it too. And again, we got all this validation and whatever, like, you're so cool and you're so ahead of everybody, again building on narcissism and building on that whole crazy egocentric power trip.
It's really the best way to earn your parents and your adults' approval.
Yeah,
And it's important
hands
for
down.
children.
Yeah, hands down. The more certificates, the more they have to, because you become senior than the adults, and what teenager doesn't want to be better than adults? You guys have teenagers. You tell me if you couldn't convince them. It's like, if you do this, then you'll have more authority over us. What teenager is going to say no to that?
Yeah.
Mo certificates, mo problems. All right. PTS roller coaster case says, "Hi, Aaron. Did you get my email for 60 Minutes Australia with Jenna and Dallas? FYI, first ever super chat." Well, thank you so much, PTS roller coaster case. Guys, for some reason, the 60 Minutes Australia YouTube account reposted just today the 14-year-old interview with Jenna Miscavige and Dallas Hill. So now a lot of people think that's a brand new interview. I've gotten hundreds of messages about David Miscavige's niece is speaking out. That was 14
it might as well be
years
as new
ago.
as it was then, because nothing has changed. So literally, it might as well.
Nothing.
Shout out to 60 Minutes Australia.
I thought that was brilliant of them because the Masterson piece got so many, downloads for them. They're like, well, fuck, we're gonna dust this one off and pop it back in there. And I was like, good for them for recycling it, because I love Jenna and Dallas, two of my favorite people on the planet. And I would love for people to pick up her book and give it a read because she put that out there 14 years ago. It's still as valid as it was 14 years ago when she wrote it. And her story and Dallas's story is still heartbreaking and still valid now. I mean, she's not here
Right.
on YouTube with us,
And to me,
doing this,
the fact is though, the fact that
you know.
Jenna is the only person that they have covered from a childhood perspective like that. Like that's the only person in the entire Scientology that you really think about, oh, that was a childhood experience. Everybody's
Mhm.
else's stories have been really reductive and dehumanizing. And the fact, again, going back to 14 years, why has 14 years gone by and kids are still being exposed to this? Because, the press has
Yeah.
literally not cared. They've just,
And here's 5 of us right here.
there's
Yeah.
more
Does
than
any-
you can even count
And there's
on.
more of
Does-
us.
You wouldn't even know.
Does anybody remember what Jenna's book is called? I
Yeah.
fix my light.
It's my harrowing escape and beyond
Mhm.
belief, my harrowing escape out of
Thank you.
Scientology.
Yeah.
And going back to like
I have
Tampa
it on
Bay
my bookshelf.
Times, when Jenna wrote that book, Tampa Bay Times pitched her as having a rocky childhood. That's literally their headline. Niece's Church describes having a rocky childhood. Never mind that she wrote beyond belief, my harrowing escape, and it was then pitched as, oh, just a rocky childhood, you guys. That's just rocky. I mean, again, the media has been doing the laundering of the image of these hotels for as long as they've existed. None of them have infiltrated the hotel so that they can get their own experience. They come to us, ask us what in the hell went on, and then they write all these watered down BS, nothing to do with reality stories to
Mhm.
make money for themselves. I mean, it is what it is. It is a money-making scheme for them, and they have not given a shred of an F about the kids stuck in those hotels.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Jake M says, will Scientology use Mike Rinder's cancer diagnosis to say this is what happens when you leave Scientology? Yes. They do that to pretty much anyone who leaves and has anything bad happen to them. I mean, illness or otherwise, it'll be like, it's because they're criminals and they're attacking the one true, pro-survival movement, and they're pulling in all of these motivators, which is Scientology speak for bad things happening to you. So that's just what they do all the time.
Overt motivator sequence.
Yeah.
You have to do something bad, you pull it in, and that's the cycle.
That's right.
I mean, all of us are doing well. I mean, I can say for myself, I'm doing fantastic. They have nothing to say when we're doing well. They're just like, like they just choke on their own shit. Like, we're all doing great. That's when they just have to make shit up. Like, they just can't stand that we are happy and healthy and thriving. And look at this. We actually like each other, guys. And we are hanging out and telling shit about them that they don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
Like, this
Well,
is
even
their
with Leah,
worst
even with
nightmare.
Leah's lawsuit, they respond by saying, if she can't get a job in Hollywood, and you're like, she just finished her 3rd season hosting which she was
The game
nominated
show.
for an Emmy for hosting
Yeah.
this show. It's like, yeah, she
Mhm.
can't find a job because anyway, this is bullshit.
She
All
has
right, Pete in
multiple
Toronto.
jobs,
Hold on.
guys. She has
Hold on.
multiple jobs.
Okay. Pete in Toronto. Pete in Toronto says, hey, Aaron, you once mentioned Hubbard's redundancy, mental image pictures. Was this emphasis just a rationalization why people can't remember foreign languages from their past lives? Oh, I don't understand that question at all. Does anybody else?
I think, is Pete in Toronto, are you asking why we all aren't like multilingual? I would love, that's
No,
the one
I think
superpower I'd love to have.
he's missing that between lives you go to the implant station and you get erased like Men in Black.
Yeah.
And then it's only by Serge's very special technical command that you retrieve that information, bypass the implant of forgetting.
Yeah, exactly. Lena 1, Serge, did you ever just want to tell, or did you ever just want to yell, shut the F up, you're not Marilyn?
No, because you're not allowed to. You're supposed to be natural, relaxed, and friendly. And my head would have been chopped off in a million pieces. I would have been caught literally having any sort of face of disgust. Like you couldn't, even the most disgusting thing. Have you ever seduced a minor? You're supposed to sit there and be like, and then what happened? And then how did you do it? And then where did you do it? As you're writing it all down, and you're supposed to just remain very like, again, with that gloss iced face of completely being a robot, because that's what this whole thing is about. Become a dominator, a dom, and a robot. So no.
Yeah.
Good.
It's true. You definitely don't. You know, the only time I wanted to like say something to like someone I was quote unquote auditing, which most it would be when you're doing something as simple as doing word clearing on the meter, and it's like I as the word clearer or the auditor, whatever, I'd be like, here's what I wanted to say. I want to say, you know, goddamn well that you have to FN this thing. Why are you stopping making sentences? You know we can't finish until you FN. Your job is to keep speaking until you FN so that I can tell you your needle floated. If you don't know what we're doing here, why are we doing? I would get so frustrated. Like, nope, I understand it. Would you like to make another sentence? Nope, I'm done. I'll be like, okay, well, you know what's next, right? Is there an earlier, similar, misunderstood word? I just wanted to shake them. Like,
Aaron,
why do
it's
you?
the difference between those who learn to make a floating needle on their own to get out of a trapped room, or those who didn't.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. I knew how to get out of that room. I think we all did.
Yeah.
Okay, Joni Cummings says, how does it feel now that you're all out of Scientology? No more ice cubes.
So much better. Oh my God.
We're free from the ice traps.
Even yesterday, I was telling Liz Gill, I was up at 5 a.m. going to work, and she was saying something else she was doing. I was like, dude, yeah, it sucks. Our Sunday, we're like, it's a cool Sunday, right? We were like feeling bad for ourselves. And I was like, hey, we could be at CC right now. And we're like, really living our best lives. Instead, I get to go to like a mental health hospital and help people who really need help and work with really cool people. So, okay, fine, I'll take it.
Okay, these are, I guess this is one of the possible names for Reese's viewers. The Reese's routers. I don't like that one. What does that mean?
I was wondering that too. Somebody came up with Reese's PCs. PC, like pre-clears.
PCs, yeah.
That's way too triggering, right?
I thought it was
What do you
clever.
think, Grace?
They come up with a lot. They come up with a lot.
Hot dog.
Laura,
Reese, you have 85 names for your peoples.
Laura, we got like not 8 minutes left on this stream, just so you know.
What is that, Laura? Laura's gonna drum it in.
All right, we can't hear Laura yet, but I'm sure we will soon. All right, Ms. Pillow says, thoughts on the 2 60 Minutes Australia pieces? Jenna Miscavige and Dana Masterson, what will be the impact on Scientology? Will it affect their banking in Australia?
Well, I just did a reaction video to Danny Masterson. I'm going to post of the 60 Minutes. And then I think banking should really be concerned. Anybody who's banking Scientology needs to look at what happened to the people banking Jeffrey and Ghislaine and start looking in a mirror, because it's only a matter of time that they are going to be facing the same level of consequences, and actually worse, because this was done how many times more than Ghislaine and Jeffrey in terms of child trafficking. So banking people should be very scared to be pretending to be dumb, pretending to not know a shred of a thing, pretending that they have no idea. Google it. It's all just a GTS away. Look at all the SPTV that is out there, because there's just no way that people can play dumb with it.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you guys have any other thoughts on the Australian piece? Did you guys watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rewatched the Jenna one too. I just thought I thought it was great. I was really, I mean, I agree that, you know, you could do 8 hours on the whole Danny Masterson thing. I thought they did a fairly good job for what they did, you know, in terms of you know, calling out. It was very Australian. how they put it together. You know, I mean, it's for their audience, the way they're presenting it. It's not an American thing. They were fairly straightforward, I thought, with how they presented Danny's case and everything. I wish they would have used less file footage of the first trial of him coming out of the courtroom where he's just looking so happy and smug. And maybe I wish somebody would have gotten some footage of him actually getting handcuffed.
There is no footage of that.
I know I'm saying I wish somebody would have gotten some footage of him getting
was
cuffed in
impossible.
that
There were
moment.
no
I know
cameras
there's no
out.
footage of that.
Yeah.
That would have
I
been
mean,
fabulous.
Jeff was the next best, though. That was awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
just-
right,
We
right.
don't
right.
Hey,
ever send a memo, by the way, to each other about wearing black. It just happens organically.
Oh
Everyone.
yeah.
It's just what the cool kids do.
Did you guys the Jenna thing? By the way, I've been listening since the beginning in LA traffic for an hour, so I feel like I've been part of this whole conversation. I've literally been listening since Reese's iceberg, everything. So, she's like, I'm still here in my cold little square. But I thought that this last Jenna episode, the last thing that they showed actually was a lot different than the maybe it was recorded back then or whatever, but it's definitely different than the other video that Jenna did when she did come out. Like it might be different clips and stuff that they've added to it, but it definitely has more new footage in this one than the other Jenna one that they did like years ago.
Okay.
But so that's cool.
I don't
and
remember.
yeah,
It was 14 years ago. I don't remember.
yeah, but also I also think that, like you guys were saying earlier, I think that's super cool that it came out again. And then Valerie, you know, the 60-minute with Valerie and all that, because again, to new people watching this and stuff, they're just hearing this. And if they're hearing, like, sometimes it does take somebody to be like, oh my God, the fish, the little floppy fish is going. Foxy just turned it on. It really does take somebody to hear. Some people do need to hear the leader's niece or, you know, something extreme like that for people to really, again, believe shit. It's just like, it sucks, but I'm really happy that it's all out there. And that's good because it's all going to connect to Valerie's news.
I think it's great that they republish that stuff because, well, again, it's the same reason. I mean, even on this channel, there's subjects I've discussed over and over and over again because this is the internet. You've discussed it once. Nobody knows you've discussed it before. That's not how the internet works. You know what I'm saying? Like most people, honestly, right now, because it's been so long since Jen has spoken out, most people have no idea who most people who watch our channel don't know who Jenna Miscavige is. And that's why, you know, when they republished that video, I get hundreds of messages like, oh my God, David Miscavige's niece is speaking out. So it's actually great that they're putting it out again. It's just the hundreds of messages asking if you know, if I've seen the new Jenna Miscavige interview, and I go, okay. It's not, you know, but people just don't know. And that's actually why it's great that they did republish it.
Yeah.
Aaron, before this closes,
Yeah.
Does it close automatically? Or
No.
I just want to make sure. Okay. Sorry, everybody. My mic is being annoying. I cannot figure out if I'm too loud, too quiet. Apologies to your ears, but I will.
You're
work on
great. It doesn't matter if you're too loud or quiet. But
well, I don't like when I listen to it and it sounds like I'm aggressive because I'm not trying to be, but I'm like Aaron. I get excited.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to say is that this Saturday we're having a chat-a-thon. And we decided to ask our closest friends who either Liz, Alicia, or I grew up with, essentially, or people who knew Bob and Liz Ferris for Liz and her dad. So we have some really cool people confirmed. You know, like Nora, Erin, Lara, Liz Gale, the entire Children of Scientology Lighthouse Project cast that we're so excited about, and quite a few other names. And they're people who just have really like been there for Liz and her dad, and everybody wants to talk about it and raise some funds for Liz. So be there or be square this Saturday.
So it's on Saturday. Remind me, what time is it?
The 12th. So it's I made a little, let me pull it up because I did Clearwater time and then California time.
Aaron's like, what time am I on?
It's 11
You have to
a.m.
just send Aaron a
No,
call time.
I told Aaron to let me know if he wanted to pick a slot or if he was just going to be like, "Oh, Aaron," and just pop in and be like, "I'm here." So he has the choice, but we have
but the whole
slots.
thing. But just tell me what time it starts. Like
It's,
California's.
so California time, 11 a.m. It's
Okay.
10 hours long. So
it's going to go for 10 hours straight.
Yeah, so we're gonna kick it off in the morning with the hosts of the Never Ends. It's gonna be Marilyn, Juliana, Chad, Chad and Denver Stevio, and then it's gonna be me, Alicia, and Liz, and then Nora is coming on right after us. We're gonna be on with her for a little bit. We're gonna leave, and then it's over to our friends and loved ones. There you go.
Thank you. That a little bit,
my darling.
Somebody.
I sent out a fancy invite because I just think it's so important.
It is. No, this also, like, I know exactly what I'm doing on set.
Yeah, so it's this week, this
my
weekend.
fucking wild mind.
And you
so
can choose whatever you want as long as it's not taken.
Whose channels is it going to be streaming on?
I think we can each stream it on our own channels. So
I
think it's Marilyn because we're working to get her hours like monetized. So it's already scheduled.
I thought it was on Degraded Daughters.
It will be. It'll be on all of ours.
Okay.
But I think she's like hosting it, and then we'll maybe invite
excited
us
because I have not had a chance to talk to you or Lisa or Liz, and my mom works with Bob Ferris. Like, they're together being psychotically brainwashed, in their little prison jail at Gold. So at least they have company. But I mean, I'm not that we're going to be like, where's Diane Anderson? Because
we could.
Yeah. I mean, we could. But, and also, like specifically recently, my mom, I know that she just was in Clearwater in Florida getting injections and shit like this. Whatever, from Dr. whatever Scientologist dude, we can talk about that later.
Minkoff.
But she was, David Minkoff, who's anyways, and she's telling whoever, the information that I have is that she was there doing this, and while she was there, and during the time, they didn't want her to, but there were, what do you call them for adult services people, Aaron, at the Gold Base?
Social services.
Yeah, social services was visiting there. Sorry, why are you smiling, Aaron?
Is that your squeaky toy, Laura?
I'm bored, so I'm squeezing it.
It's
it's
loud.
my dog. It's Foxy.
Foxy.
That's it. I'm taking it away, and you got to wait 5 minutes until we're done.
I have 4 dogs trapped right now because I know,
but I can't do that because then she will start talking like whoa, like and so that she's just smart. Look, she knows. She's staring at it now. She's like, all right, fine.
And for the record,
gonna gaze upon it.
Lara has like offered me about 8 of the coolest adventures I've ever heard. Like, hi, beautiful. Can I pick you up and take you to the Roosevelt, your favorite hotel, and take you to brunch? And I'm always like, I'm at work right now, Laura. Tell me just like one day earlier, and I love you. I can't wait to hang out with you.
I mean, I brought Aaron to Roosevelt and played ping pong and all that. I've brought Serge. It's just for people who I deeply adore in this life, whether they are doing it on their own path, and I just respect it. And I really love when I loved it so much. You know who taught me this? The person I work for still for the last 15 years. I love pampering people who deserve it, whether they can afford it or not. Like, it's not about that. It's like, you do a lot for people, so you get to be pampered. And when people feel that, even when they're super loaded and stuff, and they're still given love, it makes me want to be it makes me feel so fucking good because it's healing something that was never given to me.
You're so
and
sweet.
So I just was like, I knew it was your birthday. I knew you were being hounded by fucking stupid psycho Sino PIs.
Yeah.
And
well, actually, to bring it back to the whole like wraparound theme, for my graduation from Cal State Long Beach last year, we planned a celebration by the pool to like do overnight, and then I would drive to my graduation. I just wanted to make it fancy in the neighborhood I grew up in because I grew up right down the street. And my roommate ended up calling surprising me and upgrading me to the Marilyn Monroe suite that she used to live in. And it
That's
was like
amazing.
my
Isn't
real
that
Hollywood
amazing?
girl fantasy, but it
Yeah.
was for a beautiful reason instead of just, being in a weird old hotel that traffics children.
Yeah, and exactly. Like it really, it's not, and that was the other, there's so many reasons to it. It's not just because, oh, it's your birthday and you're
No,
amazing,
I know.
beautiful,
You're just so
degraded,
sweet.
and daughter.
I wanted to like give you a shout out for just always being the sweetest. So
That's so sweet. I love being sweet because the people I'm sweet to deserve it,
Nice. Well, on that count, let's end it. Two real quick ones. Where can you find the interviews for Jenna and Claire that y'all are referring to? Go to 60 Minutes Australia YouTube channel. That's where you can find it. And Tampa B Man says, hey, Aaron, you've got a few hundred SPs needing to hear you say cooter. Not really a question. There you go. You just got your wish. Bada boom. Okay. A little bit of an inside joke there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who watches until the very end. We'll talk to you guys
I'm
soon.
going on at 8, Aaron, just so
All
you
right.
know. Love y'all. Bye.
If you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,